I finished the main storyline of Star Wars Outlaws and I've played over 60 hours so far, so I'm going to share some of the things that I kind of wish I had known sooner before playing this game, so you hopefully can have a more enjoyable experience in the Outer Rim. No storyline spoilers here in this video, of course, and cheers to Ubisoft for the review code so I could get these tips and tricks out to you very swiftly. And let's first cover the main world restrictions that you definitely need to be aware of, as there's going to be certain areas or certain places that you come across that you're just not going to be able to access without having the correct abilities, upgrades, or tools unlocked. Now, the first one is the open world itself, where you can kind of freely explore all 4 planets after finishing the prologue storyline missions on Tashara. And once you do reach the orbit of Tashara, as you can kind of see here from my gameplay, you are then free to go wherever you wish. Now, the second restriction is the Bolt Blaster upgrade that you earn from ND5 after completing the first mission on Kijimi, which will allow you to blow up these secret caves all around the world. Now, the third is the slicing kit that you need to obtain from finishing the Slicer Expert quest on Tashara, which is given to you by Danka right after completing this quest on your screen right now called New Tricks. This is going to allow you then to slice and unlock all secure areas throughout the game. Now, the fourth is unlocking the Mechanic Expert in Tashara, which is also another follow-up quest from Danka, with the mechanic teaching you how to speed boost and jump with your speeder over large gaps throughout the world to kind of get to secret areas, with the Scavenger Expert on Akiva teaching you how to ride your speeder over water, which is the first storyline quest as soon as you land on that planet. So after you kind of get your Tashara experts unlocked and then take off from there, at the very least I would recommend doing the starting quests on Akiva and Kijimi, so the whole game will then be a lot more fun for you across the next 60 hours because you won't be smashing your head against a wall trying to figure out how to get into that place.
Let me in! Let me in!
Now, as for Syndicates, there's some important information you need to know as well, which I didn't realize until the end of my game or my playthrough, which is that it's not possible to max out the reputation of a syndicate to excellent if you just choose them for every choice or every option that you come across in the main storyline. In fact, choices don't affect the main storyline of Outlaws at all, nor does anything happen in terms of rewards or secret unlocks if you reduce your reputation with all of the factions to kind of their worst possible reputational level, which is terrible. That said, I do have one syndicate recommendation that I think you should focus on until you reach max level with them, and that is the Pikes, as they have the most territories across all planets in this game, which means they're kind of more readily available and accessible content-wise compared to other syndicates, and they're also the very first faction that you're introduced to or you meet in the game, with several side quests ready for rep gain straight out of the gate, as well as actually providing you with arguably the best gear in the game, which I will go through with you shortly. So what I would say is focus on the Pikes first, get familiar with the reputation mechanic, redeem their rewards as soon as you kind of level up, and then move on to another syndicate when you're comfortable is my recommendation here. Now, after you've helped Bosnok in a quest called False Flag, which you come across during the Tashara storyline, you'll then be able to partake in a new syndicate mechanic called Contracts. These are a series of kind of like custom quests which you can do in isolation, which have no impact on the story, but do allow you to raise your reputation with a specific syndicate of your choice, earn credits from them, and collect upgrade parts for your speeder, ship, and blaster. Now, these contract NPC brokers are actually found all over the galaxy once you discover them, so you need to go up and speak to them. But once you do, you can then easily access what they're offering you at the holotable in your ship to kind of accept the new contracts that they're throwing your way. That said, you have different contracts to choose from. You've got the Smuggler, which is requesting that you move items from one place to another whilst avoiding conflict. You've then got this Infiltration contract, which only requires that you do it or you're successful in one go, and you will need to sneak or stealth into a certain area to complete that objective, as well as the Thief contract request, where you need to steal an item from a location, with the Enforcer quest here asking you to eliminate everyone as the kind of goal, which I think is the most fun, to be honest with you. Now, you can only have 3 active per planet at one time, but this is by far the quickest way to level your syndicate rep. So what I would say as well is focus on this if you want their rewards at the excellent or top end level, which is a very nice segue onto gear rewards now, because there's 15 gear sets in this game which are noted as superior or above, which are the only kind of type of gear sets that you really want to focus on, as they will provide you with an additional gameplay bonus if you do equip all 3 pieces of armor in one set. Now, as we've just discussed, in my opinion, The Imperial Disguise gear set you earn from being at max rep level with the Pike Syndicate is the most beneficial gear set in this game, and that's because of the increase in K's ability to actually evade detection from the Imperial NPCs throughout the game, as well as it kind of lowering your wanted level significantly quicker, so it kind of drops off. You don't have to wait as long for the timer to kind of run out, and then you can have, as a result of that, more fun inside Imperial bases throughout the game without having a severe gameplay penalty. It also buffs your blaster, increasing your damage output as well as its accuracy when firing from the hip. And when you use your Adrenaline Deadeye ability, which is basically from Red Dead Redemption 2, it auto cools your blaster or reloads your gun for free. So timing this right allows you to dish out big damage very quickly. I actually use this armor set throughout my whole time with the game because it's just so good. So again, running contracts for the Pikes this early is definitely worth your time and worth doing in my honest opinion. Now, if you have learned something new so far, or if you're enjoying the video, please do leave a very swift like down below, as it does really help me out on YouTube. These videos do take a long time to make, so thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Now, credits or Star Wars money?
Only money.
Is there any point in kind of grinding that out in this game? Well, yes, to another point, because as you start to upgrade your ship speeder and blaster by buying parts from specific vendors, you will swiftly find yourself out of money. So with that in mind, here's two recommendations for you, just in case you find yourself in a bit of a cash flow pinch. The first being that in every Syndicate area on each planet, there is a Syndicate vault, which requires 3 keycards to open it, with those keycards being visible on your map after you accept the quest on the computer, which is located next to that specific vault. Now, once you retrieve those 3 key cards from the map, you can then unlock the vault and get a quick 5,000 or 5k credits, with each one taking around 20 to 30 minutes or so to complete. Secondly, when you raise your reputation to excellent and it can't go any higher, the contract quests that we were just speaking about offer you between 1.2 and 1.6, if I remember, credits for its completion instead of the rep gain. So you can kind of smash out several very quickly to earn a lot of cash when you need to, which after completing the vaults, I found to be the kind of fastest way to generate money, as the gambling mini games, they just don't offer you much at all, as we all know, the house always wins.
Whenever you gamble, my friend, eventually you lose.
But what about these vendors I have kind of briefly skimmed across? Do they do anything noteworthy in this game? Well, yes, because in fact, there's actually several different types of vendors, too many in my opinion, in this game that sell specific stuff, which took me way too long to realize. The first is a scavenger vendor, which you can kind of see noted on their info panel when you kind of get an icon over it, if I just zoom in here for you. And this scavenger sells materials specifically for your speeder, ship, and other rare items. You've also got the armorers that sell materials for your blaster upgrades, with the tailors selling gear or equipment for your loadout specifically, and survivalists focus on trying to flog you a variety of different materials you may or may not need for, you kind of guessed it, rare or specific upgrades. There's also your standard merchant trader who sells generic bits and bobs, and your traveling adventurer merchant, which sells you intel that then leads you to kind of buried treasure, which 9 times out of 10 is a cosmetic reward that you will never equip.
It's not fair.
So you've also got your faction specific vendors who sell you discounts depending upon your reputation level with them. So what I would say is spend 30 seconds finding the right vendor on your map, as it will save you a chunk of change in the long run, and I hope to never see this many vendors in a Ubisoft game ever again. Now, abilities. I did recommend some early unlocks I think you should focus on in the video I made for you yesterday, which I will link at the end of this one if you haven't seen it yet. So I am going to suggest a bit of an overpowered build here for you to consider as you progress into the mid-game, as I don't really want to waste your time by repeating myself from yesterday, because the first unlock here that I think you should get is courtesy of the Gunslinger Expert, who is the first person you meet after landing on Tatooine, who will increase your Adrenaline Rush ability by buffing it from 3 targets to 5, which is pretty decent and quite significant if you like to play with this mechanic. She then also offers you Powered Recharge, which provides a small amount of adrenaline when perfect cooling is achieved, which you can actually also just turn on in the settings to be perfect every time if you want to when it pops up on the screen, which if I zoom in here, if you didn't know, that's what it is. It's just the reload mechanic. If you then kind of use this in tandem with the ISB outfit that you've earned from the pikes, which allows you to restore health after each defeated enemy during Adrenaline Rush, as well as a greatly increased adrenaline gain on hits with K's Blaster. You literally, with all of these buffs here, you kind of turn into this indestructible Imperial gunslinger with this combination. And what's great is that you can just unlock all of this early on if you focus on the pikes and visit Tatooine right after Shara. Now, apart from this rampaging amount of buffs that you're kind of picking up from the ISB uniform and the gunslinger abilities,
Die with the rebellion.
I'd also suggest kind of upgrading your plasma blaster to max damage first, and then switching to the rapid fire mode, which adds to the kind of wrecking mode that you're going to get yourself into in these densely populated restricted areas, as the rate of fire has increased significantly and you're likely to hit your adrenaline meter activation quicker, which feels after every successful kill you make. And the damage boost is also playing a role here in that plasma module, of course. So yeah, you just keep nuking and nuking and nuking. And I'd also kind of recommend you try out hip firing when in close combat as well. So I found it easier to move and kind of miss less shots comparatively to aiming down the sights. And if you actually come across any drop blasters on the floor from enemies, make sure you pick them up, because as you can kind of see here from my gameplay here, it fills your adrenaline meter up rapidly, meaning you can get back into one-shotting everyone Red Dead style.
I like this thing.
And in between these kind of weapon changes and blaster cooldowns, what I would say is don't forget to use your stun gun, which is the R1 button on your controller, as it's a one-shot kill that operates separately from your other offensive abilities, which I kept forgetting to do throughout my time with the game, but it's a nice stopgap as you kind of transition between different blaster modules and guns. But gunslinging aside, what about stealth in this game?
Hello there.
Well, there's a few tips or suggestions you should kind of keep in mind when you find yourself sneaking around or deciding to kind of play in that way in Outlaws. And that's when you're hiding in bushes or in cover and you find a patrol near you or certainly heading your way. And if you kind of aim down the side, I find this annoying, if you aim down the sides, you'll then become unstealthed as K kind of like half stands up. But if you stay in cover and press the triangle button on your controller to get your blaster out or switch between the modules, you'll then be able to hip fire aim without having to use the L2 button to aim down the sights, and then you can take out an enemy at range while still remaining out of sight in stealth, which is good fun to do and very effective. Now, as for dealing with groups, when you do come across a patrol of 3 enemies, which is the kind of the game standard here, I would recommend sending Nyx in first to blind one, whilst you then instantly stun the second with your stun gun, and take down the remaining 2 back to back with just melee takedowns, which I found the best way in dealing with these kind of group stealth takedowns without being spotted. Additionally, make sure you remember to use the whistle feature on your D-pad. Sounds super simple, but it's just like in Assassin's Creed where you can kind of bring an enemy close to you. But I kept focusing on trying to use Nyx to kind of lure them to me, with Nyx's distract option being a little bit buggy for me, whereas the whistle just gets the job done faster and it's way more reliable. Now, settings wise, I'd recommend you crank up the visual and view angle when aiming to its kind of maximum, as it allows you to see more of the game around you, which also, in my personal opinion, I think it does contribute to a feeling of greater immersion in this open world Star Wars game, as well as kind of like turning off Nyx prompts here, which means that when you send him to blow up a fuel tank, instead of waiting for you to just like spam L1, which will come across, he'll just do it automatically, which I found increased the actual amount that I then used him for as a companion, because it just became easier to issue him an order whilst I then ran ahead to do something else instead of standing around just spamming L1, if you know what I mean. Secondly, you can turn on the autocomplete game setting for the street food games that you partake in with Nyx on different planets, which are actually really nice cutscenes in game. I thought they were done particularly well, where you don't actually need to partake in this kind of pretty boring timed clicking mini game. You see, if you played Ubisoft games before, you know what I mean. And if you turn this off, you can then just sit back and relax and watch these characters hang out, with Nyx picking up a plate of food as a kind of reward here, which then can be equipped in your loadout menu with Nyx, with the Sketo Trigger plate on Tatooine, allowing Nyx to attack several enemies at once. So it's kind of worth doing here because he wreaks havoc and causes them to shoot wildly everywhere, which is worth getting for sure. Now, good news, I've got even more tips and tricks for you in this video, which should be on your screen right now, should be on my face right now. So give that a click so you can get even more out of this awesome game. And hopefully I'll see you there in just a second. My thanks to Nico for helping me in early access and with this video. I hope you found it informative, enjoyable, and hopefully I'll see you in that next video in just a second. Coffee is on me.